A very warm welcome to you. It's indeed a pleasure to have you join us again on Almond Finance and Wealth Reports this week. As you know, we are source for latest happening information in the financial sector of the nation's economy. Many thanks also to our partner on this program, Standard Alliance Life Assurance Limited, for their continued support. My name is Faith Wadi. On this edition of the program, we'll kick off by bringing you the continuation of the exclusive interview I had with Mr. Henry Olujimi Boyo last week, where we looked at high interest rates and economic growth. Plus, we bring you highlights of the 2013 investiture ceremony of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, that took place at the Harbour Point, Victoria Island here in Lagos. Among the honorary fellows this year were Dr. Kingsley Moghalu, Deputy Governor, Financial Stability, Central Bank of Nigeria, and Mrs. Shola David Boha, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, IBTC Holdings PLC. Plus, our regulars on the program, our Voice Pop segment, Waiting Insurance, the DoSef, Company News, and of course, Insurance Talk Celebrities Edition. I urge you as always to sit back, relax, and spend this time with us, but all the details are coming to you after the break. Please stay with us.
On Almond Finance and Wealth Report, we ask the right people the right questions.
No Nigerian trusts the other, and they don't believe, the average Nigerian doesn't believe that the insurance company will pay the claim. They believe that the insurance company will not pay the claim. So when you pay the claim, they are quite pleasantly surprised.
A system that ensures that your naira will depreciate, that excess liquidity will prevail when you earn increasing dollars. It should be reversed.
The whole idea of insurance, as far as I'm concerned, is to spread the risk. That is the actual cost.
We highlight the right events. And the right music. Join your host, Faith Ugwode, every week on this station. Almond Finance and Wealth Report, the right platform.
Alright, moving on straight to our exclusive interview session. Recently, the central bank governor was quoted as saying that it's not possible to guarantee low interest rates due to harsh business environment in Nigeria. Plus, have you ever wondered why people who borrow money from the bank pay as much as 20% on interest, while your savings deposit attract less than 5% interest? All these will form the basis of Mr. Boyo's discussion with myself on the program this week. I'm a little bit confused with that, and I'm sure a lot of people are also confused. Why would government bring money, then at the same time they will come back to borrow the same money that belongs to them at an interest from the banks? How does that work?
Simply, it is fraud. Let's be quite honest with ourselves. It is fraud, and this fraud has been persisting for so long, because it is not rocket science to know that this does not make sense. Okay, but the excuse is that there's too much cash in the system, and if we leave the too much cash in the system, the implication would be that there will be too much cash chasing too few goods.
But is that really the case? When they say there's too much cash in the system, there are projects to be done, there are things that need to be done. ASU is on strike. So how come they're saying there's too much cash in the system, and you look, maybe as a layman, you see that there are needs, so to speak, that needs cash to solve, and they are telling you there's too much cash in the system? How do you reconcile that?
It's the same thing I said earlier on. Too much cash chasing too few goods. That's what inflation means. So if you have a situation, for example, where instead of 1,000 naira that used to exist, you now have 5,000 naira in its place, and the things that the 1,000 naira used to buy haven't changed in quantum or in quality, you would find that there would be those items will be priced at a higher price. So the question I think that is critical is, what causes the excess cash? What appears to be an eternal burden of excess cash on the economy? Why is it that, like you have rightly said, there's no money for the real sector? There's no money to pay wages. There's no money to build hospitals and schools or whatever. And yet you say there is too much money. And consequently, you think, let me go and borrow it back and mop it up. And I feel distressed sometimes when I hear the media reports on the issue of mopping up. They cloak it in all such benign terms, usually because what they dish out as news are handouts from the ministries and CBN. And often they say, and they say it with a lot of glee and with a lot of accomplishment, that the central bank sold 200 and something billion of treasury bills in the market today, and at a rate of about 13-14%, and the central bank does this benign act, so to speak, in order to be able to keep inflation in check and also help the banks to manage their liquidity. When the public hear this, they are bound to be clapping for the central bank that, oh, well done. But if the media tells the truth and say, the central bank has once again embarked on borrowing money that it put in the bank last week when it paid the allocations of 600 billion to the 3 tiers of government. The central bank has considered that allocation paid into the hands of the banks has put in the hands of the bank too much power to create credit. And if they allow the credit expansion that could ensue, maybe I should explain. You see, when a bank has 1 naira cash, it means that the bank can usually leverage. That's what cash reserves and things like that. It means that when you have 1 naira, you can have a cash reserve of 1 naira and lend out 9 naira. Okay? So you can imagine a situation in the bank when the banks have an inflow of, say, 500 billion naira of federal allocations at the end of every month. That inflow of cash makes it possible for the banks to leverage and lend out possibly 5 trillion, not 500 billion now, but 10 times 5 trillion naira. 5 trillion naira in the system, which can be lent out by the banks, facing a restricted amount of goods and services that is available. That will drive inflation high. And once it drives inflation high, of course, the income that you are earning also is belittled and devalued. It won't be able to buy the amount of things that you used to buy before. So you will understand that excess liquidity, so-called excess liquidity or surplus cash, is the result of the monthly allocations of huge naira sums to the 3 tiers of government and the domiciling of these huge allocations into the hands of the commercial banks. That amount inflow going into the hands of the commercial banks every month makes it possible for them to lend almost 10 times. For example, if the cash reserve that you are talking about used to be 12% or whatever, it means that on top of that 500 billion that they received as allocations into their account, they could lend out 9 times 500, that is 4.5 trillion naira, and create the specter of inflation. So maybe that answers your question, as to say that is where the excess liquidity comes from. And then you will say, but then why didn't they just leave it in the system so that the real sector can take from it? But then you'd find that leaving it in the system, you have created an underlying platform for inflation that at the end of the day, by the time the real sector also accesses the money at whatever, by the time they want to buy something, the prices keep changing and everything, and planning becomes difficult and meaningless. So really, the sensible thing to do is to say, nip it at the bud and say, what creates excess liquidity? What instigates this excess liquidity? And you have identified to start with that it happens, or it is created whenever the allocations of the 3 tiers of government are paid into the bank account. That is why the central bank governor 2 weeks ago said, since we have been borrowing this money back, money that we don't need and money that we don't intend to use at 13-14%, and increasing the national debt burden, and at the same time paying so much as interest charges for money that is kept idle, we think it now makes sense that we shouldn't go that route anymore. Forgive us, please, that we have done it for 10-15 years and we have been paying money to the banks, and the banks have been growing. And of course, it is true that if the banks have a fool as a partner who brings money one day and comes to borrow, there's no reason why they should look at the real sector, because they know that if they give loans to the real sector at 20% plus all the additional requirements for how do I say it, infrastructural support and things like that. They have to pay for their water, roads, electricity, you name it, and still look after their staff. It is going to be an uphill journey for them, and they would not even be able to pay back the loan. So let us stay in the comfort zone that we are and service the needs of the government, who brings the money and borrows it back. And also we may consider also lending to the telecom and the fuel importers. After that, we can be making token gestures and say, we gave the steel sector this, we gave the textile this, but at the end of the day, look, if, as speculated by the central bank director, as I referred to yesterday in the papers, if, as speculated, 300 billion naira could have been earned by the banks this year from idle money placed in their hands by government.
Why do anything?
Why do anything? Divide that by say, for example, 10 banks. Each bank will still go home with 30 billion naira. And they will look after their, how do I say, the operational expenses by charging you 10 naira for your this and that, and asking for your account, 5 naira, 100 naira, that charge, this one, that one, and all sorts of things. They still get their running cost. Nonetheless, the CBN is fully in support of them, because most of the how do I say it, reforms within the banking sector have been to help the banks reduce their costs with the hope that they can lend to the real sector. But this has never happened. It has never happened. So the poor man or the customer is being pushed back, and told, don't worry, the banks will help you in the end. But nothing happens, they get pushed back some more.
Insurance business is not all that belief in Nigeria, because of I can say because of our government and because of the way people have been treated before. And basically, I've had people that have been that have signed up to life insurance policy, and at the end of the day, when it was time for them to make their claims, there was a delay along the line. And even at the same time, they lost all what they've used their livelihood to save up to. So even personally to me, somebody called me in my office today that he's coming because he wanted to open an insurance policy for me. And I had that kind of what happened to the other person, the illustration I just gave, and I just told the person not to come. He's a recognized insurance company in Nigeria, but I don't want to mention them, So I think insurance policy, they need a formidable information strategy in order for them to move the insurance business in Nigeria. Without that, insurance policy is not all that welcome in Nigeria.
Alright, moving on straight, we'll bring you highlights of the 2013 investiture ceremony of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, that took place at the Harbour Point, Victoria Island here in Lagos. The very colorful ceremony had dignitaries from all walks of life in attendance. The Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, is a training institution for all bankers in the country. The CIBN recently held its 2013 investiture ceremony at the Harbour Point, Victoria Island, Lagos. The investiture ceremony, as always, drew dignitaries from within and outside the banking industry. The special guest of honor was the Executive Governor of Gombe State, His Excellency Alhaji Ibrahim Hassan Dakumbo ON, who was ably represented by Mr. Sajos Kadri, Senior Special Advisor, Special Duties, Gombe State. The guest speaker was the Chief Executive Officer, Institute of Bankers, Malaysia, Mr. T.K. Leon. Welcoming dignitaries to the ceremony, the President and Chairman of Council of the CIBN, Mr. Shegu Aino, OFR, said that the Honorary Fellowship Award of the Institute is given to persons who have contributed immensely to the growth and development of the banking industry.
The fellowship status is the highest grade of membership any banker can attain within the banking and finance profession in Nigeria and in any professional banking body worldwide. It is an acknowledgement that such a person has excelled in the arts of science and practice of banking. It is a stamp of distinction and an emblem of the accomplishment in one's professional banking career. Indeed, the banking career is not complete without it. I therefore congratulate the new fellows of the Institute and say welcome to the club. I also congratulate the 132 top management staff of banks, other financial institutions and student lecturers and tertiary institutions on the award of the honorary senior membership of the Institute, which we held them in exhibition HCIB. Before this year, we've already had these ceremonies and two different ceremonies, but this first time we are combining the award of the honorary senior membership of the Institute and the fellowship of the Institute.
In his opening remarks, the representative of the special guest of honor, Mr. Kadri, said that the successful implementation of the newly introduced competency framework in the banking sector will depend on the collaboration of all stakeholders.
The success of implementing a robust banking industry competency framework depends largely on collaboration among all the stakeholders. Based on a common vision of driving customer satisfaction and enhancing the reputation of the industry, the continuous strong support, commitment, cooperation, and contribution of all and sundry will therefore be instrumental in ensuring its success. Permit me to also call for a critical reassessment of our lifestyles and ourselves. I want to implore members to state their commitments to the objectives of our revival institute and restate and their determination to contribute to the development of the banking profession and the professionals in this country.
The CIBN, as part of its initiative to expand its frontiers of its portfolio of qualifications and education program, has entered into alliances with various reputable national and international institutions. Delivering the theme paper, Competency Framework in Banking, the Malaysian Model, the guest speaker, Mr. T.K. Leon, said that just like Malaysia, Nigeria is not different as technology has changed the face of banking.
The banking industry, as many of you would agree with me, is one of very diverse and requires different skill sets. It is also important that people need to be able to understand that service level cut across all the core competencies, whether you are credit, operation, risk, sales, compliance, or even support services. At the same time, your young people, the Generation Y employees, they are demanding greater clarity in the work that they are empowered to do so, the standards they are employed to perform, and the flexibility they want from their career growth. What works for you, ladies and gentlemen, 30 years ago are no longer the same. The Gen Y people are demanding very different competencies, and they demand to be managed very differently. And therefore, the model that we have put in place is also ready for any revision. In fact, the council that I report to has also agreed that the model that we have put in place is ready for revision anytime from today.
The process of the award of Fellows of the Institute is painstakingly done by men and women of integrity who make up the Board of Fellows of the CIBN. The awardees this year included 44 elected members, 132 honorary senior members, as well as associates.
My family, friends, colleagues, members of the banking profession, and the industry at large, as well as these distinguished audience here that I shall abide, uphold, protect, promote, and support the currency of bankers of Nigeria Act No. 5 of 2007.
The honorary fellows this year were Dr. Kingsley Shiedu Mogalu, Deputy Governor, Financial System Stability, CBN, Mrs. Bola Adeshola, Managing Director and Chief Executive, Standard Chartered Bank, Mr. Jibri Aku, Managing Director and Chief Executive, Eco Bank Nigeria Limited, Mr. Ladi Balogun, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, FCMB, Mr. Shegun Olokotoye, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Wema Bank PLC, and Mrs. Shola David Boha, Managing Director and Chief Executive, Stanbic IBTC Holdings PLC. The Fellowship Award of the CIBN is the highest stamp of recognition for banking professionals who have contributed to the growth and development of the banking and finance industry in Nigeria. Responding on behalf of the honorary fellows, Dr. Kingsley Mogalu promised that they will abide by the codes of conduct of the Institute at all times.
On behalf of all the honorary fellows, I will pledge our continued commitment to the work and the principles of the Chartered Institute of Bankers and the banking profession in general. I, on behalf of myself and the Central Bank, pledge to continue to do my work of regulating them.
The Honorary Fellowship Award of the CIBN is also a call to duty for recipients to be mentors to younger banking professionals. After all, the reward for hard work is often more work.
Yeah, what up? My name is Sound Sultan. Yeah, we're talking about insurance. For me, I feel insurance is a very important thing, and we all are enjoying at the moment. We all understand life comes in a flow. Maybe we enjoy life on a fast lane, and sometimes we forget securities, against our properties, our lives, and everything. Things always go right, but sometimes they go left. So we always have to prepare for that rainy day. So I think it's very important for us to think about insurance. If it's your property, your lives, anyone, just always think about it. Think about it and make sure it happens.
Alright, that's the time on this edition of the program. I do hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I always say here, for comments, questions, observations, do feel free to get in touch with us on 017763981 or 08033357879, or better still, send us an email, almond4xx@yahoo.com or almondproduction@gmail.com. You can also visit us on our website, www.almondreports.com. Many thanks to our partner on this program, Standard Alliance Life Assurance Limited, for their continued support. Do not forget also to join us every Wednesday by 9:45 a.m. on Nigeria FM 102.7 for our Pidgin English program called Waiting Insurance They Do Safe. My name is Faith Ugwode. Until same time, same station next week, where we'll come your way with a fresh package of this program from all of us here. It's goodbye.